The microphone trembled in Sarah Chen's hands as she stared at the empty chair across from her in the CNN studio. 23 years covering sports, and she'd never felt her heart pound like this. The red recording light blinked ominously above camera 2, and in exactly 30 seconds, she'd be live with the most controversial interview of her career. "We're going live in 5, 4, 3. The floor director's countdown felt like a death sentence. Sarah had built her reputation on asking the tough questions, but what Ronda Rousey had just whispered to her during the commercial break changed everything. The former UFC champion's words echoed in her mind. "Ask me about the real reason I retired, Sarah. Ask me what they don't want you to know." The studio lights blazed as Sarah forced herself to look directly into the camera. "Good evening, I'm Sarah Chen, and tonight we have an exclusive with former UFC bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey. Ronda, thank you for joining us." Rousey sat perfectly still, her piercing gaze fixed on Sarah. Gone was the confident fighter America once knew. This woman looked haunted, carrying secrets that seemed to weigh down her shoulders. "Sarah, before we start, I need you to promise me something." Rousey's voice was barely above a whisper. "Whatever I tell you tonight, don't let them bury this story." Sarah's professional instincts screamed danger, but her journalistic curiosity won. "Ronda, millions of people watched your last fight against Amanda Nunes. You seemed different that night. What really happened in that octagon?" Rousey's hands clenched into fists on the armrests. "That fight was supposed to be my comeback. Dana White, the UFC brass, they all promised me it would be different this time. But what they didn't tell you, what they didn't tell anyone, is that I wasn't fighting just Amanda that night." "What do you mean?" "I was fighting for my life, Sarah." "Literally," Rousey's voice cracked. 3 weeks before that fight, I received a phone call. A man's voice, distorted, told me exactly what would happen if I won that night. He knew things about my family, about my mother, things that only someone very close to me could know. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. This wasn't the interview she'd prepared for. "Ronda, are you saying someone threatened you?" "I'm saying someone owned me." Rousey leaned forward, her eyes glistening. "You want to know why I really retired? It wasn't because of the losses. It wasn't because of the criticism. It was because I discovered that some of my biggest fights were never real competitions." The studio fell silent, except for the hum of the cameras. Sarah's producer was frantically gesturing from behind the cameras, but she couldn't look away from Rousey's face. "The night before the Nunes fight, I found a USB drive in my hotel room. Security footage, Sarah. Footage of meetings I never knew happened. Dana White, my former manager, people I trusted, sitting around a table discussing my career like I was a stock they were trading." Sarah's voice barely worked. "What kind of discussions?" "When I should win, when I should lose, how much money each outcome would generate. My entire career, my legacy, everything I thought I'd earned through blood and sweat was choreographed." Tears began streaming down Rousey's face. "Do you know what it feels like to discover that your greatest victories were scripted?" The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. She'd covered Rousey's rise to stardom, celebrated her as a pioneer for women in combat sports. "Ronda, these are serious allegations. Do you have proof?" Rousey reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. "Everything's on here, Sarah. Financial records, recorded conversations, contracts I never signed, but somehow exist with my forged signature. But here's the thing they didn't count on. I made copies. Why are you telling me this now? Because 3 days ago, my mother received a visit from 2 men in suits. They told her I needed to stay quiet about my retirement, that some stories are better left untold. That's when I knew I had to speak up." Rousey's voice grew stronger. "I won't let them intimidate my family." Sarah realized she was witnessing the biggest sports scandal in decades unfolding live on television. What do you want people to know? I want them to know that the woman who inspired millions of girls to fight, to be strong, to never give up, was living a lie. But I also want them to know that the real fight starts now. Rousey stood up, her fighter's spirit returning. I'm not backing down anymore. The emotion in Rousey's voice, the raw pain of betrayal, hit Sarah unexpectedly. Her own voice began to shake as she processed the magnitude of what she was hearing. This changes everything we thought we knew about your career. It changes everything about the sport, Sarah. How many other fighters are living this same nightmare? How many other champions are just actors in someone else's script? Sarah felt tears welling in her eyes, not just for Rousey, but for every young athlete who believed in the purity of competition. What's your next step? Tomorrow morning, I'm filing lawsuits against the UFC, my former management team, and everyone involved in this conspiracy. But tonight, I wanted the world to hear it from me first. Rousey paused, looking directly into the camera. To every young fighter watching this, don't let anyone steal your dreams. Fight for real. Fight for yourself. The raw emotion was too much. Sarah felt her professional composure cracking as tears began flowing down her cheeks. 23 years of believing in the integrity of sports journalism, of celebrating athletic achievement, suddenly felt naive. I'm sorry, Sarah whispered, wiping her eyes. It's heartbreaking. Don't apologize for feeling, Sarah. That's what makes you human. That's what makes this story matter. The studio audience, initially confused by Sarah's emotional breakdown, began to understand the gravity of what they were witnessing. This wasn't just an interview anymore. It was a confession that would reshape how America viewed professional fighting. Ronda, aren't you afraid of the consequences of speaking out? I'm terrified, Rousey admitted, but I'm more afraid of living the rest of my life as a fraud. My fans deserved better. The sport deserved better. I deserved better. Sarah struggled to regain her composure, but the tears kept coming. What message do you have for your fans who supported you through everything? I want them to know that their support was real, even when my fights weren't. Their belief in me gave me the strength to finally tell the truth. And I want them to know that this isn't the end of my story. It's the beginning of the real fight. Suddenly, the studio door burst open. A man in an expensive suit strode in, flanked by 2 security guards. Sarah recognized him immediately. Marcus Kellerman, one of the most powerful sports agents in the country and a close associate of UFC management. This interview is over, Kellerman announced, his voice cutting through the studio like a blade. Excuse me? Sarah stood up, her journalistic instincts kicking in. This is a live broadcast. You can't just... Watch me. Kellerman pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Yes, it's me. Shut it down, now. Within seconds, the studio lights dimmed and the cameras stopped rolling, but Sarah's audio was still live, broadcasting to millions of viewers who could hear everything happening. You have no right to stop this, Rousey said, standing to face Kellerman. This is my story to tell. Your story belongs to us, Ronda. You signed contracts. You took our money. You don't get to destroy everything we built just because you're having a breakdown. A breakdown? Rousey's voice rose. You call exposing corruption a breakdown? Sarah quickly grabbed her phone and started recording. If they were cutting the official broadcast, she'd stream this live on social media. Mr. Kellerman, are you confirming that there's truth to Ms. Rousey's allegations? Kellerman's face went pale as he realized his mistake. I'm not confirming anything. This woman is clearly unstable and making wild accusations. Then why are you here? Sarah pressed. How did you even know what she was saying if you weren't monitoring this interview? The question hung in the air like a smoking gun. Kellerman's presence had just validated everything Rousey had claimed. If there was nothing to hide, why the dramatic interruption? Ronda, you need to come with us, one of the security guards said, stepping forward. I'm not going anywhere. Rousey backed towards Sarah. This is exactly what I was talking about. They control everything, even when the truth comes out. Sarah's phone was now streaming live to her social media accounts, and the viewer count was climbing rapidly. Comments were flooding in from people demanding to know what was happening. "You're making a mistake, Kellerman," Sarah said, keeping her phone trained on him. "This is all being recorded. Every word, every action. You're proving her point." Kellerman's composure cracked. "You don't understand what you're dealing with here. This goes deeper than just the UFC. There are people involved who don't like their business discussed in public." "What people?" Rousey demanded. "Who else is involved in this?" "Shut up," Kellerman snapped, then immediately realized he'd said too much again. Sarah felt her heart racing as she realized they were uncovering something much bigger than fight fixing. "Mr. Kellerman, are you saying there are other parties involved in this conspiracy?" Before he could answer, another man entered the studio. This one was older, wearing a federal badge. "FBI, nobody move." The studio erupted in chaos. Kellerman tried to leave, but agents blocked his path. The security guards raised their hands, clearly not wanting any part of whatever was happening. "Agent Morrison, FBI," the lead agent announced. "Ms. Rousey, we've been investigating your allegations for the past 6 months. Your decision to go public tonight has forced our hand." Sarah's mind reeled. 6 months? You've known about this for 6 months? "We've been building a case against a sports betting syndicate that's been fixing fights across multiple organizations. Ms. Rousey's evidence was crucial, but we needed more time to trace all the connections." Rousey looked stunned. "You've been investigating, but I just decided to come forward tonight. Ms. Rousey, we've had you under protective surveillance since you first contacted that journalist in Las Vegas 3 months ago. We know about the threats, the intimidation, everything." Sarah realized she was witnessing history unfold live. "Agent Morrison, can you tell us the scope of this investigation?" "What I can tell you is that this involves multiple sports organizations, several high-profile athletes, and a gambling operation that's generated over $200 million in illegal profits over the past 5 years. Kellerman finally spoke up, his voice desperate. "I want to make a deal. I can give you names, dates, everything, but I need protection." You should have thought about that before you walked into a live television studio," Agent Morrison replied coldly. As federal agents began making arrests, Sarah continued streaming, providing live commentary on the biggest sports scandal in American history. Her phone showed over 2 million viewers watching the chaos unfold. "This is unprecedented," Sarah said to her phone camera. "We're watching the real-time collapse of what appears to be a massive conspiracy involving professional fighting, illegal gambling, and who knows what else." Rousey approached Sarah's phone. "I want everyone watching to know that this is why I had to speak up. This is bigger than just my career. This is about the integrity of every sport, every competition that people believe in." Agent Morrison addressed the camera. "The FBI will be holding a press conference tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be releasing details about Operation Clean Fight, which has been ongoing for 8 months. As the agents led Kellerman and his associates away in handcuffs, Sarah realized her career had just changed forever. She'd stumbled into the story of a lifetime, and it was far from over. "Ronda, how does it feel to know that your courage to speak up has exposed something this massive?" "Terrifying and liberating at the same time," Rousey replied. "I thought I was just trying to clear my conscience. I had no idea I was helping to bring down an entire criminal organization." The studio was now swarming with federal agents, crime scene technicians, and investigators. Sarah's impromptu live stream had become the most watched sports broadcast in television history. "What happens now?" Sarah asked Agent Morrison. "Now we finish what Ms. Rousey started. This investigation will likely take years to fully resolve, but tonight's events have given us everything we need to move forward with prosecutions. As the immediate chaos subsided, Sarah found herself alone with Rousey in the studio. The official cameras were still dead, but her phone continued streaming to millions of viewers worldwide. Ronda, when you woke up this morning, did you ever imagine your day would end like this? Rousey laughed, but it was tinged with exhaustion. Sarah, when I woke up this morning, I thought I was just going to tell my story and maybe get some closure. I never imagined I was about to help bring down a criminal empire. What's next for you? I don't know. For the first time in years, I actually don't know what comes next, and that feels freeing. Rousey looked directly into the camera. To everyone watching, I want you to know that speaking truth to power is terrifying, but it's worth it. Don't let anyone steal your voice. Sarah felt tears returning as she processed everything that had happened. I have to be honest with everyone watching. When I started this interview tonight, I thought I was just talking to a retired fighter about her career. I never expected to witness the exposure of what might be the biggest sports scandal in history. Sometimes the most important stories find us when we least expect them, Rousey said softly. As federal agents continued their work around them, Sarah addressed her audience one final time. We're going to end our stream here, but this story is just beginning. Tomorrow's FBI press conference will likely reveal even more shocking details about this conspiracy. She paused, looking at Rousey with admiration. And to Ronda Rousey, thank you for your courage. Thank you for refusing to stay silent. You've reminded all of us why truth matters, even when it's dangerous to tell it. Thank you for believing me, Sarah. Thank you for crying with me. It reminded me that some stories are worth the risk. As Sarah finally ended her stream, she realized that this night had changed everything, not just for her career, but for the entire world of professional sports. The investigation that followed would expose corruption, reaching into the highest levels of athletic competition, leading to dozens of arrests and completely reshaping how professional fighting was regulated. But in that moment, sitting in a studio surrounded by federal agents and evidence of a massive conspiracy, all Sarah could think about was the courage it had taken for one woman to speak her truth, knowing it might cost her everything. The story would dominate headlines for months, but the image that would stay with viewers forever was Sarah Chen crying on live television as she realized that everything she thought she knew about sports was built on lies. 6 months later, as multiple UFC executives faced federal charges and Rousey's evidence led to the largest sports corruption investigation in American history, Sarah received a handwritten note. Thank you for crying with me that night. It reminded me that some stories are worth the pain of telling them. Keep fighting for truth. Ronda. The interview had changed both their lives forever, proving that sometimes the most powerful moments happen when professional facades fall away and human emotion takes center stage. It also proved that one person's courage to speak the truth can bring down an entire system of corruption, no matter how powerful the people trying to silence them. If this incredible story of courage and truth moved you, like it moved Sarah that night, you absolutely need to subscribe right now and smash that notification bell, because stories this powerful and this important need to be shared with everyone. Drop a comment below telling us what shocked you most about tonight's revelations, and don't forget to hit that like button to help us reach even more people with the truth. The real fight for integrity in sports is just beginning, and we need every single one of you with us to make sure stories like Ronda's continue to be told. Subscribe now, because you won't want to miss what we uncover next.